Pat, good morning.
Morning.
You've had a full week, first in a little while, to start the season, to prepare for Sunday. How has this week of training been for you guys?
Good week. Weather warmed up a little bit, been plenty of rain, but I think it's actually been pretty refreshing for the guys out on the field. So liked what we've seen. It was, I think, more video review than typical, just to go over details about certain aspects of our play that weren't up to a standard. But it was good conversations and trying to give these guys as much clarity as possible, so with important games coming up, we can have a better performance and outcome than we did last weekend.
You know, I guess to that point on last weekend, was there anything that stood out about that Minnesota game in the aftermath of it that you guys particularly looked at or kind of realized?
I think with the ball, we didn't engage the right way to find solutions to break them down more consistently. I think the first 20 minutes was decent, and we created moments, had a lot of set pieces, a lot of corner kicks, which was a positive, but I just think we lacked the off the ball movement and I would say desire to change their structure and their ability to press the ball with our movements. That wasn't good enough. And then some on-ball decisions that I think took away from that early rhythm that allowed them to cause us some problems. And then pressing. I think we didn't get enough discipline with our first line of pressure.
So moving into this week, Toronto, seems like you always seem to face them early in the year, but what do you know about them, and what are you expecting to see from them this weekend?
Excuse me. Just analyze the first couple games, and some of the trends as always. Nothing new as far as the approach. Just taking a look at those games and some new pieces and where they can cause us some problems. Obviously, with Zimmerman in the mix, they have a very experienced center back along their back line. Cifuentes, who's a new addition. Obviously, Mihalovic has now spent more time with the group. But those are some new faces, and I think different personnel for our guys to understand, but a lot of familiarity with the remainder of the guys that we saw last year. So, I would say it's just analyzing those two games and taking away the result to just understand some of their threats and our approach to be better at home.
Josh Sargent was announced or was introduced for them this week. I guess, how do you prepare for the possibility of him and kind of the differences that he might make in their attack?
Yeah, good question, because you have no there's going to be no analysis of him with their group. It's kind of understanding the player and what he brings to the table. So I just think from a work rate standpoint, with and without the ball, he's going to cause a lot of threat with how he moves to stretch the game, to understand moments to run the back line and get behind. I think he times those runs very well. Obviously, is a proven goal scorer, so he's been doing that pretty consistently. Defensively, I think sets the line well. Their pressure, or potentially could, with how they step to the ball. He's a relentless worker, and so those are some of the areas that you just kind of place him in the group and see how that might change. Maybe what we've seen from the first two games, but certainly a very strong addition to their group.
Any update on Evander, and is Matt possibly available this week?
Both. Kind of still day-to-day. Evander is, I think, in a pretty good place. Yesterday was off to the side doing some final, I would say, box checks, if you will, and the idea is that he's available. We'll just see how we get through the next two training sessions and in what capacity we can have him. So Matt's had probably his best 3-day stretch of getting through intense trainings and having a block of 3 training sessions to get through, so we can bring down the intensity and focus more on some of the tactical approaches that we'll have. But he's had a good 3-day stretch, so that is certainly a positive.
When you have a player like that you know what he does bring, but it's been so long since, in terms of Matt, it's been so long since he's gotten on the field. What are kind of your expectations for just how you kind of bring him back, and then like what he's capable of contributing?
Right. It's case by case, because you try to take into account how much time a player's missed. Sure, there's been a long stretch of trainings, but if without game minutes, what's the right progression? Where are you at in the season? How do you get him? How do you improve his fitness and just sharpness? And so those are all things that we're kind of taking into consideration with how we integrate him into the group in the form of game minutes. So he's still, an important piece that, despite being back in training, we don't want to take risk in how we just throw him out there. If the weekend's the right time, we'll throw him out there. But if it's not, then it's just building his fitness and his sharpness. So this one's just a little unique because of the amount of, I would say, game minutes that have been missed, and when's the right time and how do we progress him. So he's also an experienced player that you could just throw him out there, and I think we'd be comfortable knowing that the way he sees the game, the way he communicates, he can be in control of a lot of things. It's just the physical component that you have to be mindful of.
Pat, we spoke to Brian Ramirez this morning, I think, kind of for the first time, and you highlighted him after that home opener match about what he brought to the group that game. But now with a couple more weeks and a couple more matches under his belt, I wanted, I guess, you to share your thoughts on what you've seen, what he's added to your group, and maybe what he does differently than what you've had in that position in the past.
On-field play has been pretty consistent. I think he just reads the game, moves with the play very well. You can give him information, but if the moment presents something different, he's not a robot out there. He can think for himself and make plays that, after the fact, you analyze and say that's a smart player out on the field that has a good understanding of the game. I'd like to see more efficiency in the final third. I think he's gotten to some good spots against Minnesota, and on both flanks, and with our wide play, we can be better about final pass, final delivery, getting the ball into better spots for our attackers to go and finish off a play, specifically our forwards. But I also think you're starting to see, a little bit of his character behind the scenes. I think he's getting more and more comfortable with his teammates, with the staff members, and he's a very, I would say, serious, casual, has a serious, casual demeanor with how he goes about things, but also you see him smiling, you see him joking around. I think he just knows when to, turn it on and turn it off as far as, game mode.
You mentioned after last week's match, and then a little bit this morning when we were talking, in your answers, decisiveness on the ball in the attack has been something you were looking to improve on from that Sunday's match. What are some of the ways that you guys can kind of improve on that through this training session? Are there ways to kind of encourage that through training, or is it more about the film work that you were talking about?
Both. I won't get into those details just because we're going into a game. So the specifics of that are things that we'll talk about as a group, but it can always improve when you're not scoring goals, and we didn't score goals in our last game. So certainly there was goals prior to that, but I think in some of the things that we're seeing in training and some of the things that we analyze from the game, decision making and decisiveness in different ways can improve as far as how we look to go to goal.
The club added, is it Fabian?
Yeah, Fabian.
Fabian, okay. Fabian Rozek?
Yeah.
How do you see him kind of fitting in with the goalkeeper group that you've got currently?
I think we get a nice young talent that demeanor-wise has come in and put his head down and got to work in a really good way. And of course, the trust that we have in Paul to develop, any of our goalkeepers and make sure that the competition at that position is strong is always there. So I think what you see is a nice young piece that's going to push that group of goalkeepers, and like every position, gives us depth where if you need to rely on them, that the coaching is going to be there, and that the progression of, from when he started to where he's at now to where we think we can get him, will have us confident in, putting him out there. So it's still very early, but so far he's been a really good addition to our group.
Have you seen Amander's bobblehead that they're giving
I
out
have
on
not.
Sunday?
How's it looking?
Bobblehead night.
I did know that. I haven't seen it. Does it look the part?
It's good.
It's good?
It's great.
Okay, well, that's good news. So I do think maybe my daughter or son, somebody recognized that, and I think is excited to potentially get a hold of one of them. So that's it.
Sorry, Pat, I got one more. Sunday's International Women's Day, and I was curious if you'd feel comfortable sharing some of the influential women in your life who have helped you in your career to this point and your career now.
Yeah, I don't have to go further than my family. I'm one of five, so with my mother and my three older sisters, there's been nobody more influential than them in my early years to help bring me along as a good son, as a good brother, and keeping me grounded along the way, especially in the soccer journey, which started a long time ago, and then of course my wife. That would be the number one in the current state. She's incredible. She does everything for our family, for the kids, and family's the most important thing for her, and does a great job of making sure that I'm in a good place, that our kids are in a good place, safe, healthy, happy. So I would also like to say that her mother has been very important in our family, and so I would say those are all the women in my life that have been impactful. So, and if I'm forgetting somebody, I apologize. I'll have some time to think about it, and then I'll probably next go around include them in the conversation. So.